Jigyasa Laroya is a brand strategist, a very established one, who runs a very, very successful branding company. She's just written a very successful book, Brand Like a Pro. Obviously, she is not going to speak to you about branding like a pro here. She is going to speak to you about your personal branding. Jigyasa, thank you very much for being here. Grateful to you. And I know each one of the Fauji's who are here on Zoom and on Facebook Live are very, very eagerly looking forward to what you have to say. Thank you very much for being here.
Same here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for giving me a chance. And thank you to the people, who are serving the nation, and I've got an opportunity to talk to you, and you have taken time on a Sunday, which is otherwise a very leisure loving day. So without wasting much of the time, as we are already running late, I'll start with personal branding. And since the agenda is very clear that today we have to talk about keeping you all in mind, the audience precisely. So I have called my session today as the personal branding for armed forces officers. So whether it is the story or the tactics, I'm going to try my best to help you all as much as I can with your personal branding. So to start with, since we've been listening to very good talk since morning about finance and numbers, I thought we'll begin with some simple and successful stories of personal brand, which are coming straight from the armed forces. I hope you know all of these gentlemen. If you do not know, I'll talk about them in terms of how they are personal brand. I'm sure you can relate to 2, 3 of them who are very popular and represent our own Indian armed forces. But for the sake of how personal branding is leveraging them as armed forces officers also, let's just talk about it. The first picture is of David Goggins. He's one of the my favorite personal brand. He's an ultra marathon runner, an ultra distance cyclist, triathlete, motivational speaker, and an author. He is also one of the retired United States Navy SEAL. And what makes him special is his self-help memoir, which he talks about. To give you a gist about his personal brand, he's been doing all these marathon runs as a cause to generate funds for charity. At the same time, he is one of the Amazon bestseller from day one. His self-help memoir, which is called as Master Your Mind and Can't Hurt Me, that has been a bestseller and is having 15,000 plus positive reviews on Amazon till date. And ever since day one, it has never dropped down from the bestsellers ranking. His motivational talk is one of the most sought after, most appreciated talk of 2020, which he did with Tim Ferriss on his show. Second is Jocko Willing. If I talk about how personal brands can actually help you in terms of the commercial win, Jocko Willing, who is actually John Gretton Willing, an American retired officer, is the brand. He's a podcaster, he's an author, and he's also one of the most successful personal brand. If we talk about, if we go to his podcast, which is Jocko Podcast, you will see the kind of series, the kind of products he is getting into. He's creating episodes, he's talking about change in environment, he's talking about ego, he is talking about how corporates are evolving. At the same time, his episodes are also customized for men, women, even kids. Now, the success of this personal brand is so big that currently on his jockopodcast.com series, you can actually go and see the this store, the Jocko store, wherein they are actually selling in the merchandise, which is again customizable as per your requirements, as per men, women, kids category. So that's the kind of enormous commercial success personal branding has got for Jocko, who is John Gretton Willing, another Navy SEAL from the USA. Then comes General McChrystal. He is one of the personal brand who has served for almost 34 years in the United States Army. He took over a lot of causes which is around boardroom to battlefields was one concept. He is running a leadership consulting firm, but how his personal brand has grown to this level is a story that talks about his passion for more than service delivery through personal branding, wherein he actually encouraged the armed forces officers of United States to actually get onto causes and do more for nation building. We'll talk about that concept when we talk about why personal branding is becoming more and more relevant in present times. Now coming to the next fourth story of today, it is Commander Abhilash Tommy. I know, I'm sure you all have heard of him. He is one of the most successful personal brand when I talk about the Indian Armed Forces Services. He's already been written about on 100 Days of Solitude, and he has talked about in one of his book, which is called 151 Solitary Days and world over travel. So he is one of the personal brand which is well acclaimed not only for his achievement of this non-stop circumnavigation of the world under sail, but he's already been working on converting his learnings of armed forces officers, of army, and then bringing it down to his experiences, blogging about it, reaching out to the people through lot of elements which are relevant to story building and which actually bust the myth making in personal branding. He is one of the featured persons on the HT Leadership Summit last year, wherein he talked to the corporates and talked about the relevance in terms of mental strength. Now, mental strength is something which all of you, my audience today, knows more than any of the civilians like us. But then how to build on that content is what personal branding is all about. Coming next is Major DP Singh, one of the most popular armed forces officers when it comes to motivation through his story. Now he is a Kargil war veteran. That wins half the game for him. But not only he did that, he kept on working and living up to the passion. He exuded passion in the causes he built on. He is the India's first Blade Runner. In 2019, he went on to become the first solo skydiver among persons with disabilities. At the same time, not just his personal achievements, he also went on to talk about causes. He launched the concept of Swachhability Run, which was about fitness and ability for inclusion of the disabled person, the underprivileged person, who were the participants in those marathon runs, and they also took up the cleanliness drives. Then he launched his NGO, which is called the Challenging Ones, wherein they are working constantly on inclusion of the disabled people who need help in terms of mental strength building, or through providing them the limbs or the physical or financial aid to make their life inclusive as all of us. Not to forget the two awesomely well-groomed personal brands we have today. One is our host and facilitator, Colonel Sanjeev Govila, who is created a niche and carved a space for himself as an armed forces officer who has went on to become an entrepreneur with one of the fastest growing financial advisory firm. He talks about the concept of army when we hear him speak about entrepreneurship, and his disciplined and organized approach has always helped people learn, unlearn, and relearn things from coming from an armed forces background and creating a team which is a mix of civilians and living up to the promise that it is only exclusively meant for armed forces officers. So he has carved a niche of his personal brand around financial literacy and financial empowerment for armed forces officers. Then I'm sure you all are going to witness another awesome talk by Captain Raghuraman, who is another uh, brand speaker, motivational speaker, and a personal brand who has taken not only Indian armed forces to the leadership boardrooms, but has also carved a niche on what all lessons and learnings an army officer actually gets and can take it out to personal branding. Now these are the stories to inspire you and to actually show you that it is possible to grow and to carve a niche of you out of personal branding. How we can go about it is what I am going to cover in next 15 minutes. Now the strength lies with the armed forces officers. What are your strengths? You are coming from one of the most trusted organization. The history of your service is already there. Your demeanor and yourself is a brand in itself. When you say you are coming from the Indian armed forces officer, the trust in your personality gets established. But what differentiates a personal brand from you? How you can actually take it to your corporate careers or retired lives, or groom your passion projects further through personal branding. The only thing missing here is your story. How we can work on leveraging your story? Well, personal branding is the tool which helps you take your story further to the audiences, to the niche where you wish to establish, rule, and be known as brand. Now, to take it further, I will talk about personal branding. And in my session, there is a quick test which maybe, since all of us are connected to internet right now, we can just take it up right away. Now, why personal branding is getting more and more relevant today? Because the digital platforms have given us the opportunity to shine. We have blogs, we have podcasts, we have YouTube, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have Instagram. So we just have to carve our own personality where we want to shine, and the opportunity is equal. Our outreach has become easy and we are noticeable. But as armed forces officers, the chances to be seen are more, and the chances of getting caught are even more. Now, when I say getting caught, as in because people come and join us as personal brands with set expectations. Now, coming to the relevance of personal branding and what I mentioned, that General Stanley Crystal had stated, he said that service member should not apply only to those in uniform, but to us all. America is falling short in endeavors that occur far away from any battlefield: education, science, politics, environment, and cultivating leadership, among others. Now, why I decided to put this particular quote from him here is because today we are here to talk about personal branding for you all who are probably looking for a career post retirement, who are contemplating on a career after retirement, or who are building their careers in the corporate world already, and like 90% of the human population have some ideas and wondering how to execute those. So here he actually motivated the service people of United States, asking them to come out and grow beyond the battlefields and talk about the real-time problems. That makes it all the more relevant for the Indian Armed Forces, as currently our country is going through change on lot of fronts: digitization, digital India, social welfare, NGOs. Everything is flourishing, and you all have the ability to pick your niche and become a personal brand and help the nation in nation building. How you can do it and how you can start with it, as I promised some action items, we'll just went on ahead with some of the planning in the last slides. Now, why it is different for armed forces officers? This is very important because before doing this session, I explored lot of profiles on the LinkedIn, where armed forces officers are trying to carve a niche and create a space. One is when we see an armed forces officer, the civilian audience who is connecting with you on the social network comes with over expectations. The pressure of coming from the most trusted organizational brand, which is again armed forces. So you are always kind of judged. Easy to get noticed and even easier to get judged. Even if you are trying humor, you have to actually mind your words and language there. It is sometimes that your personality or your coming from the armed forces officers actually set the personal brand rule book ahead of your content. So you need to be very careful and you need to stand out with all those limitations. Now your story is the differentiator, how we can make it count. To talk about myth making, yes, like I said, I've been going through a lot of LinkedIn profiles. Everybody there is actually not working on the concept of their personal brand. What is the niche where I want to have a career? But they are actually trying to cash on the particular thing that I am a retired armed forces officer, which is certainly working in your favor. But how you are leveraging your brand more than that, what you have to offer now in the corporate world is what defines you. It is what helps you stand out. I took these two beautiful sentences from one of the recent article I was reading on Inc, and it talks about the modern myth making. Now storytelling is a fundamental human quality, what ultimately differentiates our species from the competition. So here, when we talk about the personal branding for armed forces officers, it is basically coming out of the very niche that we are all the retired officers or we are pursuing a career after retirement. Now that is the species we all belong to in the social networks. How we can differentiate and stand out of the competition, which is our own counterparts, is what your story should be defining. And to leverage the very aspect of storytelling in branding, the second sentence, which is little on the humor side but very relevant, as with everything in life, from Tinder to toilet paper, we all respond to a little romance. That is why content is very important. Having a set rules for your personal brand is very important. You need to know how and in what form you can actually take it ahead and make it count. So quickly we'll cover that up. Now, this is a quick self-test. Maybe we all can do it, and you can share that with us in the Q&A. What are your findings? And what you have to do is open an incognito window, not the window where you have already signed in with your Facebook, LinkedIn's, and the your spaces, maybe if it is a Gmail, and just type your name there, your first name and last name. Try variations in your name, or you like being an armed forces officer, if your social profiles are all about your ranks. So if you are writing colonel and your name and then surname, type it out and see what are the Google results it is showing. So will you be sharing the answers in the Q&A format? Should I wait for that, or we can just go ahead and move to the next slide.
We can keep going ahead. People will side by side keep doing that.
Okay, all right, all right.
And they will get surprises when they they put their number there, name there.
I know. So when we do this quick self check, I'm sharing the results which I got for my own name. Now I spell my name is Jigyasa Laruya. Now when I type that in Google, Jigyasa, the results actually bring out, one of the portal which is launched by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is the top result. Then it talks about a TV star, and it talks about lot of, college fests and things like that, which are named Jigyasa. But when I type my full name, Jigyasa Laruya, the results are quite apt. It brings you straight to my profile. It talks about my company page. It talks about my LinkedIn profile on the top, my profile on my company website. Even the images results are relevant. Now that is what personal branding can do for you. And these are the starting steps which all of us need to make to help ourselves carve a niche. If you want people to see you as the result of certain 3 to 5 keywords, if that is your niche, like if I give you an example of Colonel Govila, now he should be the one who should be coming with financial advisory, financial planners. So that way you need to know what your personal brand should stand for. And if you have got the results, and if they are not reflecting your profile, that means we need to work a little bit on our profile. Now ideas are always abundant, but it is always the execution that is scarce. So I will quickly give you some of the ideas. And here why I have put this picture is because, like a assorted cookie jar, we all have different cookies. Same way is the our skill set and our passion and our favorite projects. So that is what you have to work on. Find 3 to 5 keywords which you want your personal brand to stand for, and work around it. Take the honesty test. In personal branding, the honesty test is actually get to 5 to 10 of your trusted people, friends or family, and ask them what they can relate you most with, and see if your thoughts on your personal brand are distracting or they are very relevant to what people think about you. Work on your personal brand idea across that, around that, but make sure that you're honest to your own plan. Personal branding is all about leading more, winning more, and earning more. So if it is a social space which you want to tap, if it is a blog you want to tap, make sure that you are leading there. It is not just about creating it, but it is about evolving in your own space. And let me state it here that personal branding actually leads to 10 to 25% of more earning, even if you are running a business, but your brand custodians are well personal branded, and they are recognized as personal brands coming from that particular domain of the industry, that particular niche. You have won the game, and you have already got the edge over the competition. Define yourself and stay focused. Like these 3 cookies, you need to know what is your elevator pitch, what makes you stand out. And when I say elevator pitch, it is just that are you able to tell people in 15 seconds what you're all about. You need to know that. Honesty is still the best policy. So whichever space you are pursuing, make sure that it is relevant to your own self. Encourage dialogues. When you are posting things on social media or you are writing a blog, engage with dialogue, share that with people, ask opinions, ask them to add on to it. So that way it is a two-way communication, and that is how you can actually leverage your personal brand. Promise consistency. Yes, if I am following you as a personal brand, you are setting some of the expectations for me as one of your follower audience. So you need to be consistent there, because I am following you because I value your content. Be a positive personal brand, very important in present scenario when viral marketing and social media is everywhere. Like in the previous talk, Monica mentioned about the multi-level marketing. Same way is the social media marketing and the dangers of that. Always be positive. Do not indulge into negative talk there. Do not promote mistakenly the fake news. Avoid those bad practices, because that also affects your personal brand and your Google algorithms about it. So be a positive personal brand across the spaces you create. How personal branding can actually help you, and what are the 5 things you need to keep in mind. You have to be authentic and bold. If you have an opinion, be assertive in sharing that opinion. You need not be neutral there, but you have to be authentic and assertive at the same time. Be bold in sharing it out. There is nothing wrong. Then catch the opportunity that drive you. You have to be aware, you have to be in the right kind of networks where you can actually see that how this particular content can drive the you. Here is the personal brand. So if you are pursuing something, let's say in nutrition, you need to see the opportunities where you can actually curate something out of a content, and then that's how you can drive your personal brand in that particular niche. Then drive trust, very important. You should not be neutral in your stances on social media. It should not come across as something which is just there for the sake of it. That is why I use this picture, the fifth point, which says eliminate competition, because all of us on the social media digital spaces and in our offline networks are trying to create an identity for ourselves, but your kindness is contagious. So even if it is online or offline, your relationship marketing and your personal branding should be kind, assertive, and should expedite the power of decision. That is very important. Personal brands are those that stand for a cause, that have a purpose, and that is the difference between a PR campaign, a marketing campaign, and personal branding. These are more purpose based. Now quickly, I think I have another 5 minutes to go. So how you can supercharge your personal brand? Be a superstar. Now how can be a superstar? Talk about yourself, be there, be seen, be found, have your pictures there. Do not shy away from posting. And I am not saying that start sharing anything and everything, but whatever cause you have taken, be a superstar about it, talk about it openly, spread and educate people. Publish, publish, publish. That is the thumb rule here. You need to be very, very active and create content. Content actually helps uh, add power to the personal brand. I'll quickly show you 2 of the websites also of remarkable personal brands and how they are excelling. And to give you an example here, one of the personal brand that I manage of a CFO, now their one good article, good post, that timeline post that we published on LinkedIn went on to get 18,000 impressions. That is the power of good content. And this, I am talking about a profile which has only 400 connects, but still the post is creating 18K impressions. That's the power of personal brand. If you think that having only the followers will help your personal brand, that is not enough. You need to create, curate, and make an impact. Report yourself. It is very important. As a personal brand, you need to keep a check on yourself. Like I said, the quick test on Google right now, similar way you have to see the analytics. Is your post getting noticed? What are the hashtags you are coming across as most relevant? What is now the next point says audience matters. You need to see what is the kind of audience you have, what is the kind of audience which is engaging most in your space, and accordingly you have to work on. Lot of personal brands commit this mistake. They are very active on LinkedIn, they're almost absent on Twitter. So in that case you can actually deactivate one of the space which you are not currently focusing on. But if you have a space, make sure that as a personal brand you are available there, you can be reached out, you are answering people. Otherwise it works negatively on your personal branding. Share your small success. Life is about experiments. It could be about your everyday yoga, it could be about your post retirement days, it could be about a passion project which you are pursuing after retiring from armed forces, it could be a pro bono assignment which you took up with a friend. Share your small success stories, post regularly, update people, talk about it. Then live stream, share, present, talk, be there. We have all the kind of resources, and especially after this COVID-19, the lockdown has taught us that everything is possible when we have one utility which is called internet. So use it to your favor and empower your own personal brand. Follow the 1% goal. I believe in this goal. 1% goal is 1% progress every day. I have a document wherein I make it a point that I write every day. Now all those posts might not be there for my audience right now, but I am building on something. I am creating content which is more about my personal brand. So follow that 1% goal, even if it is about making a video, curating content, do it every day. Be sure of your tribe. Your tribe, when you are serving, is armed forces officers, and once you retire, you pick your tribe. It could be in corporate, it could be leadership, it could be finance, it could be your passion project, which could be food or anything. So you need to know your tribe and you have to evolve as per that. Exude passion, which is all the more important for anything and everything we do. Lot of people ask me in my personal branding sessions that okay, how I can make about me interesting. So just for the starters, I thought I'll share this particular thing with you, that your about me could be about anything, and it is like you have to pick. Even if it is the lessons learned from a movie, that could be a content. If it is sharing a picture of your office desk, your favorite sports team, your first car, your hidden talent, anything about you is interesting. As personal brand, you just have to focus on those three keywords which we picked and put in our cookie jar of personal branding, and we have to relate our life story to those keywords. It could be anything and everything, but you need to make your about me interesting, because people believe in stories. Now get the social media edge. I think this is just the last slide here. So here you have to work on the quality posts. You always should be responding to your audience, because if you are in a social network, you are actually in the public domain, and the very idea of being there is to actually respond, connect, and engage with our audiences, our tribe. So you need to respond, show faces. For personal branding, it is very important that all your social profiles have a similar headshot. People can relate to you, and every once in a while you should share things which are more relevant to your personal brand, which makes you more contextual for what you are trying to create, and which actually shows you in action as a personal brand. So the background image here actually is a social media calendar which you can talk about. It could be a book you are reading, it could be an ebook you are keen to read on, it could be a Thanksgiving party. So in our case, it could be a Diwali party or a home puja or a friends gathering or a blog series which you have started. anything which you think your tribe would engage with should be on your spaces, and you should talk about it. And when I say social media, it is not necessary. If you think you are an introvert and you are good in talking but not a video, you can start a podcast. If you think you are good at writing, you can start a blog. So anything which you are more comfortable in polishing your personal brand should be your pick. So now if you have got ideas, it is time to start making a list. If your results in the quick test were not good, start making a list of to-dos, what all you need to fix, have a draft, simple, publish, respond, report, and repeat. Now, if we have some time left, I would quickly like to show you 2-3 personal brand websites. Um, so do we have time for sharing those also?
Jigyasa, we are actually running out of time now.
Okay, so no problem. In the upcoming emailers, maybe I'll share the stories of these 5 stories which we covered, and we'll try to share those tips with you, which I wanted to cover today. Any questions for me? I'm all for the questions now. Yeah.
Jigyasa, there are actually the subject that you have taken up. That
Yes.
is a very, very different subject to compared to what Fauji's are accustomed to. So personal branding is something that, we have never ever thought about,
Right.
especially while in service. When we get out of service, then obviously, because we don't know much about it, so even then it doesn't work out. But however, I will say a few lines rather than posing a question to you. I will say a few things which I have culled out of your this powerful presentation that you have given. Firstly, this is for everybody who's here on the group, who's here listening to this on this summit. World wants to listen to us. Are you ready to tell your story convincingly? Second, you have a huge brand Indian Armed Forces, whether it is Indian Army or Indian Navy or Indian Air Force, backing you. Are you making use of it? And thirdly, do what you want, but present it as a novel, great story you are on. This is what personal branding is. You may have a limitation of not being able to use social media to the max while you are serving. After that, of course, there's no limitation. And in case you are retiring or retired, please make your story available to the world. The world is dying to listen to a Fauji's story. Whether you write your experiences there or you write, langar gups there, everything will be consumed much, much more than you can think of. So please make your personal brand, tell it to the world, and you are on. Thank you very much, Jigyasa. It was a
Thank
great
you.
story coming from you, and I'm very sure lots of people would have started thinking about what is this, what is the brand that I represent.
Absolutely.